Hello, Grand Rising. Hello, my fellow souls. This is Living the Soul. I am NA Soul, and here we discuss all things transformation from victim to victor, one thought at a time. It is 7:40-ish a.m. I just woke up not so long ago. I'm having some time water. So I'm getting ready to go to work. We're going to film a video today talking about how I discovered that I was moving away from living in survival, keeping it raw and unfiltered. So a bit of a different setup, not made up, not done up. I'm just living my life, and I want you to take the ride with me. So I wanted to show you, I'm having my pine water, and then I'm gonna make a shot of lemon with olive oil and cayenne pepper. I like to have a couple tonics in the morning, and then I will continue my morning with celery juice. And I also made a kale and pineapple juice. And then later on, during my first break, I'm gonna have maybe yogurt. We'll see. I'm gonna come back though, once we're on the way. Okay, look at how magical life is. I come into my little office here, and there's a yoga ball. So I'm sitting on the yoga ball. Ab engagement. Woo! Okay, anyways. Coincidentally, lately I've been realizing that as much as I may set an intention at the start of my day, throughout my day, it's very easy for me to get seduced, for lack of a better word, by energies around me, to take on energies that are not my own, and to lose essentially my sense of presence. I started off today with a podcast from a friend. His name is Andy, and he does a podcast with Jasmine, and they're so sweet, they're so amazing. But anyways, it re-inspired me to reignite my practice of presence. That is coming into the present moment, which is something that you can practice throughout your day. It's something that you can hone and perfect. And once you are stabilized in your own attraction point, in your own energy, it is much easier to create intentionally, to create a desired reality more intentionally, or at least to be able to find appreciation with all it is that you experience. So I'm in my flow. I'm remembering, okay, this is my goal today. And it also dawned on me, how is it that we fall into survival mode? This dawned on me because practicing presence is a huge milestone in coming out of that survival mode. When we're in survival mode, we aren't in the present moment. We are rooted in our fears. We're rooted in our doubts and our worries about the future, and our worries that our past will repeat itself. We are in anything but the present moment. And this comes about in my own journey. I've recognized a lot of my life thus far has not been spent being here. It started in my childhood where I love to read. Everyone who knows me knows that I love to read. I would get caught up in worlds apart from mine, and I thought it was creative. I would use my imagination, and I would, conjure up images that aligned with the words. A lot of it, though, was a sort of escape. From that point, I learned to escape whatever drama I felt that I was experiencing and to think about worlds that were not mine. So that in even my social interactions, I would find myself more concerned with the vibration of others, with the thoughts of others, versus my own feelings, my own beliefs. And, you know, as I moved on throughout life, even, facing challenges, I found that I wasn't ever really worried about what my soul wanted or what my soul needed in this present moment. I was consumed by thoughts of my past, of my trauma. When we are traumatized, complex, simple, whatever level, when we face trauma, it robs us of our sense of presence. It robs us of our ability to hone in on this moment because we're wrapped up in feelings of anger, of resentment, of pain, of suffering. We haven't let go. Another thing that brings us away from the present moment is being on autopilot in our jobs. When we do the same thing repetitively and we start to look at and we and we start doing the same thing over and over again without thought, without any sort of connection to what we're doing, we're just kind of go, go, go. That's when we lose our present moment. That's when we're living in survival, trying to get through whatever is happening here while our mind is elsewhere. And that's why scrolling, that's why social media is such a drain for that. Because it's almost like a time warp. You almost get sucked in by constantly consuming the thoughts of others, constantly consuming information, constantly moving away from how the body feels right now and into something else that's outside of you. That is lack of presence. And that brings me to my next topic. First sign that I was moving out of survival mode was when I began to get clarity of my purpose. Celery juice. We're doing this daily. Medical Medium. Shout out to him. I started this years ago when it first became a craze, and I was repulsed. I tried it and I could not stand it. I returned my juicer the next day. But now I'm in a different stage of my life, and I'm starting off slowly. I don't do the full 64 ounces, 32 ounces. I don't remember the amount, but I don't do the full. And I also add a little bit of apple to make it a little bit more palatable. It's been going really well so far. I'm already starting to use less apple, and I'm amazed and shocked because I cannot stand celery. But for the benefits, I'm gonna do it. Anyways, I'll be back. We'll continue this topic. Okay, what can I say in 5 minutes? Clarity of purpose. So for the longest time, I was hung up on not knowing what I wanted to do with my life because I was told, and I therefore believed that your purpose is in your career. Couldn't be further from the truth. Bananas, yogurt, and a breakfast cookie from Medical Medium. Anyways, couldn't be further from the truth. Your purpose is in who you are. Your purpose is in the energy that you bring forth in your every single day, in your every interaction. And which is why when we work, even through work, we can still find play. We can still find joy. You can go to work, and if your purpose is to be love, continue being love. That was a really pivotal thing for me to discover, because it helps you bring back your power, take back your power, so that you don't become affected or drained by whatever it is that's going on, that you bring the energy that sets the tone, that sets the frequency for what it is that you're doing. Helps break up the monotony as well, when you begin to see every interaction with another being as an opportunity to share that virtue, to share love. This takes practice, but that is the pivotal marker for coming out of survival. When you start looking at your life as more than just a to-do list, more than just a checklist, more than just a set of routines that have to get done so that you can achieve whatever outcome that you desire in this moment. When you recognize what it is that you bring in this realm, that's when everything changes. My guru, Brian, he once said that when we are in a state of confusion, our discernment levels are very low. We're in that state of confusion and we are not clear. We have lost our connection to the divine, to our highest self, and it's very difficult in such a state to be able to clearly state your purpose, clearly state your why, clearly state, the intuitive messages that come through anytime you sit in silence and choose to connect with yourself. Sign for how I recognized that I was beginning to exit the survival mode of living was that I started paying attention to my body's symptoms, my body's way of communicating to me. Put your finger up if you have someone in your life, or actually, let's put it this way. I incarnated in this lifetime as a millennial. So we have the privilege of growing up half on the internet, half becoming more and more aware of the steps that we need to take in order to take care of ourselves, take care of our health holistically, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, etc., etc. Our parents, those from maybe the boomer generation and beyond, they grew up in a world that taught them to work and to make that priority numero uno. And especially, maybe not every, I'm not going to make this an umbrella statement, but especially for those from an immigrant background, from a different culture, you're often working in that survival mode, trying to make sure that you succeed in the work capacity. There isn't much room for balance with life. And so we go through our everyday prioritizing our financial needs and minimizing the needs of our bodies, minimizing the need to respect our health, to respect that this vessel that we live in doesn't last forever. But while it's here, we can maintain its efficiency, its effectiveness, by doing one of many things. By being active, by eating right, by meditating, or creating some type of a relationship with divine energy. So, one pivotal thing that I awakened to during these past few years is that all of these times when we're experiencing things like headaches, things like stomach aches, skin issues, all of these are symptoms. They're the body's way of communicating, hey, something is going on. And when 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the line, we get this sudden diagnosis and it feels like, where did this come from? All along, those signs and symptoms that our bodies were producing we're our body's way of letting you know what's going on. Something isn't quite in balance. When you're living in survival mode, it is almost impossible to appreciate that. But when you come out of it, or when you feel the pull towards living in a state of regulation, it becomes priority numero uno, because your life priorities shift in a way that feels like luxury, feels like privilege, but really are the natural order of things that we've just, at this point in history, been so far removed from. At one point in my life, I didn't believe it was possible for me to achieve happiness, to feel fulfilled, to understand even what it meant to live joyfully, to be happy. I walked with a perpetual cloud over my head. Ultimately thinking about catastrophic outcomes, constantly worrying or feeling as though the most negative possibilities were the only possibilities for me. That was me living in survival mode. That was me feeling like I was under constant threat, feeling like I had to constantly be on the defense, on the lookout for whatever misfortune was coming next. And it wasn't a conscious thing. It was very subconscious. It came out through the way that I viewed myself and my relation to the world. My perspective of the world was more dark. When you're living in survival mode, you believe things like life is hard, like people aren't nice, people are not kind. You believe things like money is hard to come by. Moving out of that looked like me opening up my heart to the infinite ways that the universe supports me, the infinite ways and things that exist for me to be grateful for. Even listening to stories of others' fortune, listening to stories, or looking out for stories that help you see the magic in life, it helped me begin to see the magic in my own life, so that every little thing became something to be grateful for. I remember there was a point where I finally understood what people truly meant by waking up and being grateful that you woke up. Because at one point it felt like something that we just say on autopilot, be thankful for waking up another day. But what does that really mean? What does that really mean? For me, as I came out of this survival mode living, it meant being grateful for another opportunity, another day to experience this vessel, to experience love and to share love, to radiate virtue, to learn how to be the best possible version of myself, all the while being gentle and compassionate to myself. Like, what a gift. What an amazing gift. I can actually feel the gratitude emanating from my heart and radiating from me. That is a miracle. That was not something I was able to do in survival mode. I was too focused on pain and suffering because I was in my own pain. I was experiencing my own suffering, and it felt impossible to do anything else, but when really the truth is that we always have the opportunity to switch that perspective. It's a matter of deconditioning, unconditioning the mind, deprogramming the mind. So, when you're going through life, when you're telling yourself things that support a negative perspective of the world, you can alternatively tell yourself things that support a more positive perspective of the world. It really starts in here. You're in survival mode when you cannot rest. There was a point I lived a few years just constantly focusing on output, constantly focusing on doing. I would not rest. I would not take the time to allow my brain to breathe. I would not take the time to be with myself, to be with my body. It felt like I could never do enough. It felt like I constantly had to be doing something to be showing that I was trying, that I was working hard, and that reflected what I felt like I deserved. But there's this concept of no efforting that I am so drawn to now that I'm not living in survival mode. And that is, it's completely counterintuitive to what we're taught in the Western world. And it's basically, it encompasses reshifting your priorities. Instead of starting from the outside and working back in, aka once I get that thing, once I get the better job, once I get the best relationship, once I get the good clothes, then I will be happy inside. No, I will be happy inside, and then I will get the better of everything. I will be happy inside, and that happiness will flow from outside of me. I said that wrong. I will be happy inside, and it'll flow from within me and attract everything that is mine. There's a certain level of empowerment, that comes with it. There's a certain level of stability, of reassurance that comes with it. Survival mode is synonymous with doubt, with inconsistency, instability. When we follow this concept of no efforting, what we're doing is effectively choosing to focus on our vibration, choosing to focus on our frequency, and using that momentum to attract what it is that we desire. This isn't magical. This isn't woo-woo. This isn't a fairy tale. It is magical, not a fairy tale though. This is literally how we exist. I'll give you a tangible example of this. I used to apply for jobs and I would not hear back from them. I had this belief that there was no way that I could get a job with a certain dollar value attached to it. There was no way that people would see me as competent enough to want to hire me. Once I shifted that belief system and said, no, I am qualified in X, Y, and Z. I am more than capable. I know I'm a hard worker. I know I'm diligent. I know I'm resourceful. Once I focused on the virtues and strengths that I brought to the table, all of a sudden, offers started coming in out of the woodworks. The most craziest stories. And they always result from my shift in my inner knowing, a shift in my inner relation. I believe and affirm who I am, and I sit in that affirmation with a sense of peace. So it goes beyond just saying the things, it's also believing it. So the day is done, for the most part. I'm heading home now. The last point that I did want to make about moving away from living in survival mode and hopefully you can hear me, hopefully it isn't too loud, is that you begin to recognize the way that you speak to yourself. When I was living in survival mode, everything was negative. I criticized myself, I judged myself, I was way too hard on myself. My first therapist told me at the end of every single session, be kind to yourself. That was the first time that I had ever heard that. You'll know when you have negative self-talk, when you find yourself speaking negatively to others. Because what we see in other people is what's often within ourselves that we maybe don't recognize yet or don't want to recognize yet. So what this can look like, telling yourself, I'm never good at anything, or I'm never going to amount to anything, or no one will ever like me, etc., etc. Those kind of thoughts, those kind of beliefs that disempower you, that tell you subconsciously to look at yourself and think of yourself as a victim to circumstance. You are the most powerful soul. You are pure. You are peaceful. When you have that power innately given to you by the divine, that isn't something that can ever be taken away. And so the way that you speak to yourself should reflect that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I liked it. I liked filming it. I had some fun today. And I look forward to filming another one for you. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel, and we will talk very soon. Om Shanti.